Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Back to the Dugout here on the Bleacher Brothers Sports Network. Here, as always, on this Thursday afternoon, I am Toby Schulman here to give you guys all the baseball news around the MLB right now. We're wrapping up the regular season. Should be a very entertaining last couple of series while everybody's kind of getting into their last just full series of three this weekend. We do have teams that are about to get into a pretty meaningful last few games here, and then we've got a doubleheader with the Mets and the Braves on Monday to end it out. But should be entertaining baseball, should be great baseball as it's been the last couple of weeks. And as always, we'll be here to talk to you guys about that. But as always, if you are in the Florida area and you are around the path of Hurricane Helene, please be sure to just take the necessary precautions there. Obviously, here on the east coast of Florida, we're pretty, I think, far enough away from the storm and its path where it's not a problem here. But for those who are watching us maybe in Tampa, St. Petersburg, Tallahassee, Orlando, Gainesville areas, I know that will most likely be a lot worse than it is down here. So please do what you got to do to be safe and to take necessary precautions there, because that's obviously no joke the way the path is looking. But luckily, shouldn't be a problem here, but it is pretty windy outside. So if for some reason the stream just randomly goes out, just assume the power went out here and that the wind knocked everything out, because unfortunately that's just out of my control at this point. But for now, we're going to see if we can get the full hour of programming in, because we do have a lot to cover here, not just in regards to just the regular season ending, but for our best bets today as well. It's an occasion today. There's a very important game that is rather meaningless to the outcome of standings and postseason implications, but it is a very meaningful game nonetheless, and we'll get into that a little bit here in the first segment. But real quick before we get into the bleacher bet picks of the day and our rebet picks of the day, I have just a little betting recap to kind of do. I figured this might be a good thing to do before the betting section, which I'm moving right now to the first part of the show just to get it out of the way. Just so I kind of know how much time I have to spend on the news portion, or final predictions portion of the regular season here for the show. But I've got a lot of picks today, and I want to make sure that I at least have time to go through all of them. So if I have to take the entire first half to do it, we'll do it today. But in terms of recap right now, last 30 days are looking really good for us with a 44% ROI with our money that we're putting in here on these baseball picks. The last 7 days, 21-12. And yesterday, not great, 4-3, but last 7, 21-12. I mean, I'd take that any day of the week. It's been good. The numbers have been good. The props are doing really well. 19-10 on the last 29 props there. So that's a 23% ROI on that. So you guys can go see these stats, obviously, on Action. The link is in the description for my account if you want to go see right now at 90 total bets for this season as a whole. Obviously, not throwing actual money on every bit of bet that we're throwing, but Action lets you place a fake unit on it or whatever to see, kind of keep track where you're at. I personally think that's a lot of fun, and part of the reason why I always track all of my bets into there. So there would be other places where obviously we recap our bets on the Bleacher Bet story and on Twitter, but if you want a one-stop place to look at every single pick that at least I've put out for the baseball season, that's where they'll be at. And for college football, even once baseball season comes to an end, I'm going to be pivoting a lot towards other sports like NFL, college football. Once NBA starts up, we'll get into more basketball, and college basketball will start up as well. So there'll be no shortage of betting content. Just the baseball shortage will be the noticeable part of it. But for the remaining, at least, week of not even week, like the last half of the week that we have to bet regular season baseball, we're going to take advantage of it. And we're gonna throw some of these late slate games tonight. So another thing about kind of doing the show on Thursday, typically the slate has already started by now. I'm just gonna take a look at the card right now, but the Brewers and the Pirates are already in the 6th inning there. The Royals are already in the 4th inning, and the Tigers are already in the 4th as well. So there's another game about to start with the Angels and the White Sox as well. So pretty much half the card has already started. Which makes getting these picks out obviously pretty difficult, because I'm not going to give you guys picks for something that's already happened. That just makes no sense. So we have a lot less games to work with, but that does not mean that there aren't fun games to bet on. There aren't fun games to pick. A lot of these games in the prime time tonight are the more important ones too. So I think that's worth noting. But for I guess kind of the main game, I guess we're kind of getting picks on today And I touched on this a little bit earlier a few minutes ago when I said that there was a game out there that was rather meaningless to the outcome of the standings and the overall postseason picture. But it's very meaningful to a lot of the fans that are going to be attending today. It's very meaningful to, I think, just everybody in the baseball world. And that's the final game today at the Oakland Coliseum. Against the Texas Rangers today, Oakland A's will end their time at the historic Oakland Coliseum before traveling up to Seattle to play the Mariners for a 3-game set to end their long-term just career as the Oakland Athletics, as the franchise being known as the Oakland Athletics. It comes to a close this weekend. Uh, and today is unfortunately the last day that we'll see this team go out and play at Oakland Coliseum. So for the occasion, I figured we'd get a ton of action on this game anywhere I could. I tried at least taking something, but I wanted to do one kind of live. We're gonna cook up like a home run long shot prop or something for just like for fun for the end of the time at the Oakland Coliseum. Got a couple names in mind that I want to take a look at, so I figured kind of ran out of time before the show started to do that, so I would maybe do that live here with you guys and find some pick that at least we could like to maybe hit the last final home run for the A's in the Oakland Coliseum. But for the game line, I like the A's today. I mean, how do you not? This is one of those bigger than baseball moments. The moment where I think every fan, even Rangers fans, probably wouldn't be mad to see the Rangers take a loss, given the fact that both of these teams don't have anything to really play for. While Kumar Rocker's starting for the Rangers, that makes for another really interesting aspect of this game, that one of the best pitching prospects in baseball is playing as the opposing starter for, this kind of new era of baseball is coming in and is leaving, still being a part of professional baseball, and this stadium is not. It's kind of being left behind. I think that's kind of just a little bit of weird symbolism, but either way, with Kumar Rocker on the mound, I still don't see him going more than 5 innings. I personally really like the A's today. It's just how, like, one of those how can you not be romantic about baseball type of things. Just a narrative that I feel like already kind of writes itself. And I feel like, even though they're favored today, it's not like there's any crazy value on it. That's a pick that I personally really, really want to take. In terms of pitchers who are on the mound, I mentioned Kumar Rocker, but JT Ginn is on the mound for the Oakland A's. Both pitchers today 0-1 records. Not a lot of sample size in terms of their actual careers. Both very young players. JT coming out of Mississippi State in the draft in 2020, 25-year-old arm there. Starting to see a little bit more, I guess, just innings under his belt after every single start. He's starting to get his taste of what quality starts at the big league level can look like. And for him, it's a lot of sinkers, a lot of sliders, a lot of pitches that are going to kind of make you mess up your timing a little bit, not necessarily anything that's going to just blow by you like Kumar Rocker is going to give the Oakland A's. It's a lot of just low velo from JT Ginn that's going to be, not the toughest to really, I guess, hit, but it might be the toughest to kind of see out of the hand. So we'll see how the Rangers offense does with that. Obviously, they do have some injuries like Corey Seager, Josh Young. They're slightly depleted Evan Carter as well. So that'll be interesting to see how the A's do against the Rangers offense in their final game. But for Texas, like we said, their top pitching prospect, Kumar Rocker, out to make his 3rd career MLB start. The last few starts, or the last couple of starts for Kumar Rocker have been okay. He's only gone about 70 to 74 pitches, though. So I feel like he's going to stick around that line again. I believe this will be his last start of the season. I wouldn't imagine he starts, within the next few games. But I like Kumar Rocker right now. I mean, there's no outline for him. I feel like that was pretty easy to kind of guess that there would be no total outline made for Kumar Rocker. So I decided to pivot in a few other directions here. And looking at his other starts from, the previous couple that he had in the majors, there were a couple trends there. He really just limits earned runs. Obviously, it's tough to give up earned runs if you're limiting hits and you're not throwing for very long in the game. And that's what Kumar Rocker really excels at. He excels at limiting the earned runs. He's limited a hit so far in his couple of outings. And really the only part that he really struggles with a lot is the control, which early on in your big league career, again, I've said this before, it's not something that is really that detrimental to the long-term success of your career. You're a young guy who's thrown the baseball very hard. It's I think pretty rational to see how Kumar Rocker struggles with his command and control a little bit. But for his player props, decided to hit the under 1.5 earned runs, which is actually plus odds on DraftKings, and just as consensus odds was plus odds. I think that until I see him not have a really good start or not, hit this line, I'm going to take it. This is a guy who I still just start in and start out, I think, is generational. I think he's going to be a new face of pitching in baseball. I think he's going to be special for years to come. And I think that against an Oakland team that, well, yes, they're motivated today, being in their last game at the Oakland Coliseum, I think that Kumar Rocker is going to come in there and he's really going to shove. He's still going to throw you a solid, at least 4 innings. I could maybe see him getting 5, but I don't see it going past that. So under 1.5 earned runs for me from Kumar Rocker. That was the first player prop. I went from his start. And for a second one, I've got 3 for Rocker's start. But for the second one, we've got under 3.5 hits allowed. Again, just something where until I see him not, hit this line, I'm going to keep taking it. I really think that this A's team is going to struggle at first against Rocker. I think these first couple of innings are going to be slow for them. And I think at plus odds, again, this has better odds really than or more value for you than the under 1.5 earned runs does, which, I mean, I kind of get. I kind of get that, again, with the kind of added emotion to it with the A's needing to, I guess in their mind, take the final game at Oakland Coliseum. They could come out and get some hits, and I could see that happening, but I think Rocker is going to do a really good job of at least limiting them in the first couple of innings. We'll see towards the end of his start if the wheels kind of fall off a little bit or if he ends the start strong. It'll be interesting to see, but for the last one, it's not a plus odds player prop, but I think this is probably the best prop to throw if you are going to throw any money on Kumar Rocker's start today. I think the over 1.5 walks is a really good idea there. Again, the same kind of concept as the last two. Until I see it not happen, I'm going to take it. And, he's struggled a little bit with his command in the past couple of starts. He went 2 walks and then he went 4. So the control has been slightly, concerning. Really the only concerning part. I won't even say it's been concerning because, I mean, that's just not really that, big of a deal in your first couple of starts to that be the only issue. But the walks are certainly something that you can look at and then kind of think, yeah, he might struggle with the command a little bit today. So might be the safest pick to go with. We're betting the A's, so I do want to kind of not totally fade them here with Kumar Rocker's player props, but I just think that he's not going to be in the game for a very long time. So, or he's not going to be in the game for more than half of it. So I think the A's will have plenty of time to make up for it afterwards when the bullpen, starts to take over. But I think if he's walking guys, I think even getting 2 hits then could be effective for them. I think that if Rocker is walking batters in the early stages of the game, that's where the A's hitters can really do their damage and start to get the bullpen warmed up and start to get them out maybe in the 4th or the 5th inning. So if you're the A's, you're trying to get Rocker out of here before the 5th. And if you're the Rangers, I don't know if Rocker is staying in, if that's even a plan to stay in past the 5th anyway. So the A's might get lucky in that regards. But for the A's side, I got a lot of player props for this. But for Oakland, JT Ginn, like I said, sinkers, sliders, not a lot of velo. So I really just don't know how successful he's going to be against a team with a lot of really good hitters in the Texas Rangers. The last few starts for Ginn have been, pretty good besides a 5-inning outing where he gave up 3 earned runs. In the outline set at 15.5. And, I really just couldn't. I felt like the lines there were really solid. And I felt like I didn't really want to go over that. I don't think he's going to hit the over here. I think he's going to actually sit right at 5 innings. I think if he's still in the game by the 5.0 inning mark, I think that's kind of when Oakland will decide to pull him, unless he's absolutely dealing. But again, the velo and everything combined, I don't think that gets him really past the 5th inning against a team like this. So the under 15.5 outs, I think that's something you could, sprinkle. I don't absolutely love that prop in general, but his last 3 starts have been 5 innings, 4 innings, then 5 innings. So by that trend, you could maybe guess he's going 4. I think he sits right at 5 today. And I think he makes it a very tough bet to sweat out and watch. We'll just have to see about that in a couple hours' time. But those are the two pitching matchups for today and the props that we got for those. Now moving on to the offensive props because let's be honest, we can't not bet offensive props and make that a little bit more fun if we're betting on the A's to win. So I thought it would be a little bit cool to make like a 3-leg same game parlay for 3 hits because we've been doing that for the last couple of weeks and it seems like we hit them quite a bit. So why not for this one as well? We looked at the A's roster over the last 7 days, and as an organization, the team is not doing terrible hitting wise. They're not doing absolutely amazing. Actually, they are doing pretty bad. They're hitting 184. I thought they were at least in the 200s. No, but these three batters are still doing pretty solid in their own regards this week. Lawrence Butler being the first leg of this SGP to get over half a hit. He's got 5 hits in his last 5 games played, so it's pretty safe to say he's going to average out at least one. He's only got 1 extra base hits and no RBIs in that 5-game span as well. So I just think it's safest bet here to really just get a hit. I think he could have a monster day. I think he's one of those guys who really feeds off the energy and the emotion that comes with a game like today. But we'll see. I think the hit is really just a safe play here, and as it will be for kind of the rest of the SGP that I'm laying out here. But second one, Tyler Soderstrom. I think he also gets over half a hit. He's got 4 hits in his last 5 games played, and 3 of those were extra base hits. So he's seeing the ball well. He's hitting the ball hard. I think that when you hit the ball hard and you just hit it and play, good things will happen. So we're going with Soderstrom to get us half a hit here, and then to round it all out, it's the Wonder Boy Jacob Wilson. Half a hit, again, over half a hit. I think 4 hits in the last 5 games played, 0 extra base hits coming off of that walk-off the other night. One of the purest, just best prospect contact hitters right now in the major leagues. I think he's going to be another one of those guys that feeds off the energy today. And I think ultimately, yeah, all of them will to an extent. But I think the guys in the batting order especially will. And that's just kind of, my mentality there. But pretty much just kind of going based on the fact here of this narrative of all these young guys. Soderstrom, Wilson, and Butler are all really young guys with this young core in this Oakland lineup, and I think it would be really cool to see all of them go out on a high note, to go out leaving Oakland Coliseum with productive days at the plate. I think that would be a really cool sight to see if you're an Oakland fan. At least you can watch these guys leave and say, what, we might be something as a franchise. So if these guys get to go to Vegas and experience a better market, maybe that can shift the vibe of a lot of Oakland fans. But that's just an outsider's perspective. I don't really think that's realistic at all, if we're being totally honest. But for the home run prop, I almost forgot. For the home run prop for this game, I was thinking Brent Rooker, but Brent Rooker has honestly been in a bit of a slump for Oakland lately. I think that, again, storybook thing, this could kind of be something where he could just get a hold of one and break the slump today. And over half a home run, plus 400 on FanDuel, plus 375 consensus odds. I don't really know. Let's look at Oakland's at Oakland a little bit more just to see. The team didn't hit any home runs this week, so it's not like I could just tail somebody who's been hot really at the plate hitting home runs. Soderstrom's hit a few doubles. He's hitting the ball hard, like I said. So I don't know. It's plus 600. We're gonna go with Soderstrom here to be our final Oakland Coliseum Oakland A's player prop bet, but yeah, plus 600. If you want to sprinkle it, go ahead. I personally will not be. I don't trust any of these Oakland A's to hit a home run right now after not doing it in the last 5 games, but they really do. So 3 doubles the last week for Tyler Soderstrom. He's hitting the ball pretty hard. You want a home run bet with some value, that's plus 600. You got some free play, go tail it there. But yeah, that pretty much does it for the Oakland Coliseum game. I almost forgot. I had a new background to use for the betting portion, but yeah, forgot to mention rebet. Use the code Bleacher Brothers when you're signing up. Code in the description. As always, been in there for the last few episodes. Been absolutely loving rebet. Talk about it all the time on the show. Great layout, great prop builder. You can go head to head against people. You can see the people that you follow on Rebet. You can just repost their bets, and then you don't even have to go into the actual sports book and make it yourself. It's pretty convenient there. Again, code Bleacher Brothers when signing up. I believe they will match your deposit back to like $100 in Rebet cash. So a good deal there. But we still got a couple games to go over, so at least we got a little bit more time with the cool new Rebet background. But the next game I was pivoting to is the Yankees and the Orioles, which we talked about a little bit yesterday in the written content. One of my picks of the day being the New York Yankees, which missed pretty badly. Nestor Cortez getting scratched from that start for an injury really just didn't do me any good. I really was not happy to see Marcus Stroman start that game. And I still rode with it. I could have said, you know what, we're not going with the Yankees anymore. Cashed out for, $2, $4, whatever it was offering, but decided to ride with my team and to ride with the team when they need to clinch. And today I think they could get the job done. Garrett Cole on the mound against Corbin Burns with Kumar Rocker starting the last game in Oakland Coliseum and then moving into the next game that we'll probably end up watching tonight being the Yankees game. That makes for some pretty good baseball today and some really good pitching matchups to end out this part of the season. So it makes watching baseball right now really, really fun. I wanted to just kind of note that how fun it is to just watch through these slates of baseball. There's a lot of really good pitching matchups. But 82% of the public today is on the Yankees. After the last couple of games, I agree. I don't really think Garrett Cole goes out there and lets them get swept. But again, Corbin Burns on the mound. Anything can happen for the Baltimore Orioles here, who are playing with pretty much nothing to lose at this point. They're clinched already. Now they're just trying to go out there and win a division, which scares me a lot with the Yankees here. But I like Garrett Cole under 2.5 earned runs today. The only real threat to Cole in this lineup, it seems like, is Gunnar Henderson, who in a very short history against Cole has been pretty good. But historically, Cole has done a lot better against guys like Adley Rutschman, Anthony Santander, Ryan Mountcastle. He's even gotten the best of AL Rookie of the Year candidate Colton Cowser quite a bit. So I personally like Garrett Cole and the Yankees here to take a W today, and I like Garrett Cole under the 2.5 earned runs. He's looked a lot better recently, and I think at this point in the season, when you really virtually have gotten nothing really major out of Cole besides that one 9-inning outing the other night, he needs to come in and just step up today and be the reason that you clinch. You have to do it at Yankee Stadium. And while obviously they're there for the rest of the season, I don't believe Cole will get another start. So I'm sure he's going to want to go out there and do it today. But that's really the only picks that I had for that Yankees-Orioles game. Decided to just keep it simple, not try and let my emotions get the best of me with this game. But I think Cole under 2.5 earned is a really good bet. And I think the Yankees, you ride the public here. Unfortunately, we faded the public a couple times the last week, and once it worked, once it didn't. So today we're going to go with the public here with the Yankees, and like 82% of the world, we're going to take them to clinch today. So that's it for the Yankees and the Orioles. The last game we are taking action on today was the Padres and the Dodgers because it has just been arguably the most fun series of the week to watch. Obviously, while the Yankees and the Orioles were like the series of the week to kind of keep it tabs on because of the division implications. The same thing kind of applies here for the Padres and the Dodgers. And today, I personally really like the over 8.5. I don't want to bet a game outcome really besides a total. The Padres, they're coming off a tough loss with Dylan Cease, but they've got Joe Musgrove on the mound today, who's solid in his own regard. And he's coming off of 2 shutout outings. So I think Joe Musgrove is going to come in there and really try and just shove today against Walker Buehler and the Dodgers. And Buehler, historically, he's been good against San Diego, but I think baseball fans can all kind of admit at this point in his career that it's just not the same Walker Buehler anymore in 2024. The only outing against the San Diego Padres this season just didn't go well for him. He went 3.1 innings pitched. He gave up 5 hits, 3 earned runs, 2 home runs, 2 walks, and only struck out 2 on 77 pitches. So it's not the same Walker Buehler. We've seen that. Lately, he's been better. He's been going a bit longer in outings, and he's looked a little bit like the Walker Buehler I think people remembered, but still, it's not the dominance. It's not the really just dominance that I remember. I remember Walker Buehler being this really feared pitcher in the NL West, and now it's like since the injuries, it's just been tough. But that makes me just want to take the over here. The Dodgers hit really well against Musgrove historically. So I personally just want to stick with the total here. And I think the 8.5, you could play it down to maybe 8 on something like Rebet. Personally, that's something I'm going to look to do just to make my life easier. But we're going to look at a couple of hitting props here from both the Dodgers and the Padres. And then we're kind of just going to go from there. So the over 8.5. And if you can play it down to 8, great. If not, I still think 8.5 is a great play. And we're going to look at a couple of hitting props from both teams and their offenses here. So 2 for the Dodgers to consider taking. The first one instantly came to mind, Freddie Freeman, just over half a hit there. This is by the way, these are going to be 2 just little SGPs, but for one, I actually would recommend that you don't parlay both of these and end up actually just taking them straight up just because they're both actually, I don't think they're both plus odds, but one of them I believe is, and the other's near. Either way, I think these 2 hit props for the Dodgers are the ones that you could probably parlay, get some good value out of, and then the Padres hit props, probably leave those alone. But again, we'll get into the Padres ones in a couple minutes. First Dodgers one was Freddie Freeman, 30 at-bats against Joe Musgrove. Freeman's hit 433. That's 13 hits, 3 doubles, 1 home run, and 6 walks. So he sees the ball very well against Joe Musgrove. That's no surprise there, being a righty against a left-handed batter. And I think it just makes sense for Freddie Freeman to get another hit today. Not hitting terribly lately. He's hitting pretty good. And I just think one of the best pure hitters in the league. I think he's got it against Musgrove today at home. And yeah, I think 433 average and 30 at-bats is to me legitimate enough to tell me that you've seen a pitcher enough to have his number, and that's what Freeman does. So second one is Will Smith, and we tailed Will Smith yesterday for his under on hits. And, he does this weird little trend where he goes hitless. He'll get a couple hits in a game, then he'll go hitless again. I don't know if it's like a weird trend where when he's DHing he does better, or when he's catching he does better at the plate. But that's something I'd have to look into a little bit more. He's a 304 hitter against Joe Musgrove in 23 at bats, so similar to Freddie Freeman, just a big sample size of at bats. Historically, has just done well against him. A few doubles. He's got 4 RBIs as well. So I could see him maybe going over 1.5 total bases today, but safer pick, I think, is to just go for both of these guys to get a hit. Both of them in a same game parlay, like I talked about. I think it's worth taking for some value. It's plus 119. Again, on your own respective sports book might be a little different, but it'll be around, those odds. The Freeman hit was around like minus 200 or something. So obviously not great odds there. Take Will Smith to have a better day at the plate today when he's still seeing the ball pretty well, when he's not getting hits. I think that's a pretty good idea there. But 2 more picks from the San Diego Padres for some player props here, and then we'll get into a quick little middle of the hour break before getting into the final regular season predictions. But I've got 2 total base props here because I think the books are kind of onto us in terms of Padres props here, because the guys who are doing good are just on fire lately. Jackson Merrill, lifetime, he is 2 for 2 against Walker Buehler, so I'm going for him to get over 1.5 total bases tonight. He's been hitting well all year, and right now he's hitting a season high 306 in the month of September. He's fresh off of a double last night. I think he gets a couple hits tonight. Makes our life really easy there. Fernando Tatis Jr., I think he does it. I think he gets over 1.5 total bases here. A 308 hitter against Walker Buehler. He has a 1.077 OPS with 4 home runs. He's coming off of a great night last night with 6 total bases. I really just like the play, the way that, Tatis has just been playing lately. I think this total base play is a great one. And it actually ended up being one of my pick of the day today. If you are a follower of the Bleacher Bet Instagram story, you'll notice that we do the MLB picks of the day, or we have been this week. And then Tatis comes in as one of those picks, the over 1.5 total bases with Garrett Cole. Under 2.5 earned runs as the other. So we've been doing a lot better with the player props here than the straight bets, I got to admit. So I'm going to be sticking to player prop picks of the day for the Bleacher Bet Instagram story. So go peep that in I would assume like an hour. It'll probably be up. Obviously just got to get all the other picks and stuff up, but we'll get all the stuff on Bleacher Bet for you guys to see and to go tell on your own. So that's about all for the Bleacher Bet stuff. That's all the picks I got for today. A lot more picks than usual, but again, with the final game in Oakland Coliseum today. It's an occasion. I feel like we got to have a little bit of action on that. And personally, if you're not watching that Oakland and that Texas game, I think that is going to be a game to definitely remember for a long time. Regardless of the outcome, I think it's important for baseball history that all people watch it. So I'm going to take a quick break here. When we come back in a couple of minutes, we will kind of just go over my final predictions for the rest of the MLB regular season. We'll talk about what teams I think will get in, what teams will be left out, and that should take us to the end of the hour. But you're currently watching Back to the Dugout on the Bleacher Brothers Sports Network. I'm Toby Schulman, and I will see you in a few minutes. Welcome back, everyone, to the bottom half of the hour here on Back to the Dugout on the Bleacher Brothers Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Toby Schulman, here on this Thursday afternoon. I thought about what number episode this was a while ago when I was trying to plan the show, and I still have not gone back and actually counted back all the episodes to figure that out. But I think once the baseball season ends, that'll be something that I actually have to go back and do because I am curious. But for now, we got the last bit of regular season predictions to get going here, and I really didn't think it was going to be this hard to predict. I thought by now we'd have a little bit more of a clearer picture. I thought by now more teams would be clinched. I thought by now more teams would be eliminated, and more teams are eliminated, but there still is just for some reason a lot more unpredictability that is happening right now in the league, and it's honestly kind of annoying. But it's fun nonetheless to kind of just take a look at and try and predict. But when I'm ultimately wrong about it because I can't even really wrap my head around it, it really sucks. But it's fun to look at these teams that like the Braves and the Mets who are in the it'll probably come down to the final day. But I wish for sometimes for content purposes that the picture would be a little bit more clear. So right now in terms of the way that the postseason picture is looking, multiple divisions have been clinched already. There are only a couple that are still up for grabs. And to be honest, I think they were the divisions that everybody figured would be clinched last. The Central was already clinched, obviously, on both the NL and the AL side by the Brewers and the Guardians. Uh, the West for the AL has been clinched by the Astros. After once being 10 games back, they managed to come all the way back and clinch the division there. The NL East has been clinched with the Phillies winning that division for the first time in 13 years, which I found personally unbelievable. Like I said, the NL Central was won by the Brewers, and the NL West and the AL East are the kind of odd men out. Still have not been clinched, are still up for grabs technically, but are both still, really close to being clinched. So, again, Dodgers win tonight. It's theirs. So, like I said, both of these divisions are up for grabs. If any of these teams win tonight, the Dodgers or the Yankees, I believe that would settle the division races, and then we would just have to get into the rest of the chaos that is the wild card race, which is really the main bulk of our predictions here for the second portion of the show. But we're going to get into kind of every little bit here. So we're going to highlight the AL East and the NL West, obviously, and then we're going to really get into the wild card here to finish things out. But the Dodgers win tonight; it's theirs. Like I've said, the remainder of the season, it's not looking difficult for them. If they somehow just go terrible and lose all three in Colorado, I'd be really surprised. But that's the last series that they have. They go to Coors Field and they play at the most notorious hitter-friendly ballpark in the league, and they will most likely sweep that series. But I could see the Rockies taking one of them. But on the mound, first game they have Cal Quantrill, who's 8-10, a 4.37 ERA at home. Don't think that's going to be much of a challenge for the Dodgers, who hit 301 against him. They'll take an opening win against him. Then in game two, they'll face Antonio Sensatella, who, honestly, one outing against the Dodgers. He went 5 innings pitched, 5 hits, 1 earned run, 2 strikeouts. Rockies could win that game if he goes out there and puts together a start like that. But a 6 ERA at home doesn't look great. Last game there, Ryan Feltner, 5.53 ERA at home. Again, ERA doesn't always tell the whole story. The Dodgers hit 279 against him. So I think they'll get around Feltner pretty well and end up winning two out of 3 at least. To answer your question, PA Real, I think Shohei, if any game he goes yard in game one, I don't think he has really the best numbers against Quantrill, unless I'm wrong, and I was thinking about maybe the numbers on Joe Musgrove today. I expect Ohtani to get at least 1 or 2 home runs in the series at Coors Field. Let's look at his season total right now just to see where he would be at that point. Right now, Ohtani at 53. He could realistically, if he hits one tonight and gets hot in Colorado, he could realistically hit 4 more home runs in the last 4 games here. Get 57 home runs. I think that'd be pretty cool. But realistically, I think Ohtani ends the season with about 55. I think he grabs a couple in Colorado to end the season and ends the season out there on a high note, with maybe being the first 55 dude or something, which personally I still love when people say stuff like that because, he's making history every time he steals another base and he hits another home run. Technically, he's making new history. So it's just really cool to see what Shohei Ohtani's doing, and I expect him to finish the season with at least a couple more home runs. But should be an easy route at least to the postseason. A very relaxing last few games for them. They've obviously clinched the postseason by now, so who really cares? But the division should be won by them within the next, if not tonight, then I'd assume literally the next game. Very possible to see the Dodgers sweep, but I would not be surprised, with the Dodgers, if they're already clinched by then, to not really, care too much and drop 1 game to Colorado or even maybe 2. The Padres, on the other hand, their route to an NL West title is now extremely uphill. Their final series could have many implications elsewhere. Their final series is against the Arizona Diamondbacks, who currently sit with the last wild card spot in front of the Atlanta Braves. I still think the Diamondbacks sit in a better spot, at least to make that postseason spot, even if they lose this last series. I personally think they can go out and win game 1 at home against a guy like Martin Perez, who's on the road, has a 5.57 ERA. I think they're going to struggle against Yu Darvish and Michael King, though. I think the Padres will be honestly really easily able to take 2 of 3 in this series, and I think they will secure their spot there. I think the Padres are just way better than a lot of people really think they are. And I think that the fact that the Dodgers are ahead of them really just make me kind of think that they're disrespected as a team. They always give the D-backs a hard time, like PA Real said. The D-backs are a great team. I don't want to take anything away from them, but the Padres, to me, if I'm betting money on any team out of the NL to come out and win the pennant right now, I'm taking the San Diego Padres. Even with the series with the LA Dodgers that happened this week, I still think the Padres have just the best well-rounded team to make a postseason run. But Darvish and King, I think, should get the job done in Arizona for them, and I think they should really secure that second wild card spot pretty easily. And I think Arizona ultimately, if they lose that series, can still come away with a postseason berth. But for the Diamondbacks, I think this is what happens for them. Right now, Dodgers 1, Phillies 2, Brewers 3, Padres 4, and then 5 and 6 are still up in the air. I think 5 goes to whatever team in the NL East comes out, if that's the Braves or if that's the Mets. I personally, we'll get into what I think with that, here in a few minutes. But I personally think for the Diamondbacks, they will still maintain that final spot. They have just a little bit better of a chance to make it at this point than the Atlanta Braves. So I want to give them just, the kind of the edge over them based off of that. I think they if they can just get that one win over Martin Perez, they'll be good. They have a little more control over their outcome for the postseason if they're able to get that initial win. If not, it's going to be really hard not to get swept, I think, at that point. I think they could honestly get to you, Darvish. I think they could maybe have their best shot against him if they don't win that game against Martin Perez. But Michael King's put together such an amazing season. I'd be very surprised to see the D-backs get to him. But D-backs honestly had a really good win yesterday. So I still feel very confident in them as just a competitive team in October, and I think they have more to offer than a team like Atlanta does. So that kind of gave away what I feel like I was going to say given this situation. But Mets and the Braves. This is really interesting because until yesterday, we thought that these two teams were going to go up against two other, contending teams that are very good, very, competitive within this whole season and can go out there and win a World Series this year in the Brewers and the Royals. But now they have to, play a doubleheader against each other on Monday to end this season. And we talked about Hurricane Helene to start this show, and I think it was a good idea that I actually mentioned that because that is that could be the reason why one of these teams doesn't make the playoffs is the fact that they got to go play a doubleheader to pretty much solve who's going to clinch at this point. It makes, in my opinion, these next two final series for them extremely interesting because I don't know how they do against these guys. I mean, I agree. Extra baseball does not suck at all. No, I think having a regular season doubleheader that gets a team into the postseason, then get right into the postseason the next day. Great for baseball, honestly. Great for baseball. Great for just eyes on the game. I think just great for just PR. I think everything. The Hurricane couldn't have came at a better time for them. But the Mets they're currently in as the 5th team, and I don't really see a world where the Braves are able to climb that steep hill and take that spot from them. I think the Mets have played great baseball down the stretch for the entire season. I think ultimately they get rewarded for it. I think I honestly think they go into Milwaukee and I think they end up taking that series. I think Milwaukee's rotation is really just not good. I personally think the exact opposite for the Mets rotation. I think the Mets rotation is incredibly solid right now. I think with an opening game with Sean Manaea, he could really go out there and set the tone. A guy who's been just legit so consistent for you all second half. I think he can come out there and set the tone in the series. And then if you follow that up with, Luis Severino, David Peterson, I don't know if that's what they're going to want to do because I know they want to save some guys for that doubleheader, obviously. But I think, you go to Milwaukee and you win a couple games there. I think you pad your lead a little bit. I think you could maybe even go into this doubleheader against Atlanta and maybe not even necessarily stress it too much because if you can win this Brewers series 2-1, who knows what happens with Atlanta this weekend? I mean, who knows what happens for Atlanta this weekend? Because they play a really hungry to win team in the Kansas City Royals who have just really struggled the last couple of weeks, losing 7 straight like we saw. They kind of gotten it back together since the Nationals. It's the Nationals, so I would hope they'd be able to put, together those wins. But They got Brady Singer, Seth Lugo, and Cole Reagans to get through if you're the Atlanta Braves. And the Atlanta Braves, uh, personally, I don't think there is a tougher team for the Royals to face right now than this lineup of Atlanta Braves hitters. But uh, they got some good pitchers to go face them. Lugo, Reagan should go out there and give them quality starts. So for that, I could easily see Atlanta dropping 2 of these games to the Royals. I could see Lugo going 7. I could see Cole Reagan's going 7. Uh, but at the end of the day, when Brady Singer's got like a 10 ERA in the last like 15 days or whatever it is, something absurd like that, I think that a team like the Braves, who in the last 7 days and almost 200 at bats is hitting 330 with an on base percentage of 374 and a 606 slug for a 981 OPS. This team's almost hitting for an OPS of 1,000 as a team, like in the last week of the season. So they're playing like they want to make it. And for that reason, I don't think they'll lose this series, but I think either one of those guys, Lugo or Reagans, is going to take a W in that game. And I think that it's going to make this I think it's going to make this whole playoff race a lot tighter when eventually one of these Royals guys gets a quality start over them. A 2.54 ERA for this entire pitching staff over the last 7 days with quality starts from guys like Lugo and Reagans. So I mean, uh, it's not crazy to think that you ride the hot arm at that point. That they're going to give at least one of those guys is going to give the Royals a quality start here heading into that before that doubleheader, and that's going to make everything a lot more interesting. So I think the way Atlanta's bats are right now, they'll win this series 2-1. But like I said, I think Lugo or Reagan should deal for a win there. So going back to the New York Mets against the Brewers, the Mets, while they're hitting 222 this week, the Brewers ultimately are clinched. I just think that the Mets are just going to like try to just really keep it going here. They have so much more to play for at this point. It's not guaranteed for them. For the Brewers, it's already been guaranteed. So I think that, there's going to be a little bit less to play for there. I think the Mets are going to take this series 2-1 or maybe even sweep it, depending on who's on the mound for the Brewers. And, we saw it with the Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks came in there and gave them some trouble, I believe. I don't know. The Brewers have shown that they could, beat really solid teams, and then, they could, like, they lost that 4-game set to the Diamondbacks this past weekend. But I think maybe a kind of similar thing will happen with the Mets, and I think ultimately that will be what gets the Mets into the postseason. And I don't think the Braves will really be able to sweep the doubleheader, and they will ultimately miss the playoffs. So Chris Sale wins the NL Cy Young, but ultimately, yeah, he doesn't make the playoffs. So that's the NL side of things. On the American League side of things, it's not as nearly chaotic. You obviously have the Yankees sitting at the 1 seed right now, with just in the driver's seat to clinch the American League East. Again, that will probably happen within the next couple of games. If not, it probably won't ever happen. I'm telling you right now. If this Yankees team skids, they will skid hard and they will not win this division. But hopefully, for their sake, in the next couple of games, they're able to clinch it. Ideally, that's tonight for them, and Baltimore will get that first wild card spot then, and we'll know those two things. Detroit, they're taking care of Tampa Bay, and although last time I checked they were losing today, they still are going to take that series, which is huge for them. And they're playing the Chicago White Sox to end off their season. So they got blessed, being the team that got really, really hot by the end of the season, just started playing the best baseball when it really mattered. They got a little lucky. They got a little bit, just lucky with how the schedule kind of turned out to end the season. If any team deserved that easy schedule, though, I think it was the Detroit Tigers with how they kind of have played to end the season. Just the whole lineup coming into its own. The pitching staff just putting together great start after great start. They mastered the kind of art of the bullpen game. So I think that they'll handle the White Sox obviously very easily. And with Garrett Crochet's start being pushed back, I think maybe the White Sox would take one, but I'd be lying if I told you I had any faith in them to win one of these games. I think this is an easy series sweep here for the Detroit Tigers, and if they don't sweep, well, then I think it's going to be because of that left-handed pitcher Garrett Crochet. The Royals. Now we kind of talked about the Royals. They can take a single game from the Braves, and I think they'll still be fine from the Twins, honestly. Uh, I really do think the Royals can take two of those games, but just the way that the Braves are hitting right now, I feel like, it's not very wise to bet against that. I think the Braves will win that series. Just the fact that the way that they're hitting, being at home, 2-2 add up, and I think the Braves ultimately win. But I think the Royals, I think they've done enough kind of, through the August and September months, hopefully, that they've done enough and have proven that they are a lot better than the Twins, who are proving to the rest of the world that they maybe are a little bit of frauds. And that's the last team, really. The Minnesota Twins, are they getting in? Are they not getting in? I don't think they're getting in. I think if you're losing games to the Marlins at this stage in the season, you pretty much have given up on all things competitiveness within getting into the playoffs. It's really disappointing for a team that has had guys like Pablo Lopez step up really well in the second half. They have great bats. They have Correa, Santana, Royce Lewis, just a lot of bats that are very fun to watch, players that are fun to watch, Byron Buxton, uh, really underrated pitching staff, honestly. And they just really did not have a great end of the season. Just really didn't. Kind of crumbled in the division there with that last series against the Guardians. Struggled against the Marlins a little bit, and ultimately that's how they got taken out of the postseason race. A team that was in the top 10 of the power rankings for honestly a decent amount of time for us. Now it's just kind of an afterthought. But that would that and the Mariners. I mean, I just don't think the Mariners are 2.5 games back right now. I just don't think they're making it happen. They could sweep the A's, and maybe if something crazy happens with the rest of the American League teams, like the Royals get swept, and so do the Tigers by the White Sox. I don't know, but I don't see the Mariners getting in at this point. It's just not looking good for them. I really just don't see it. I think that the playoff picture, the way that it is right now, is probably the way that it's going to stay. I think that it's just going to be a really kind of cinematic ending towards getting it solidified. So that would have the postseason picture being with the 1 seeds being the Yankees and the Dodgers, the 2 seeds being the Guardians and the Phillies, the 3 being the Astros and the Brewers, the 4 being the Orioles and the Padres, the 5 being the Royals and the Mets, and then the 6th being the Tigers and the Diamondbacks. So we'll get into postseason predictions and everything, honestly, next week. I feel like there's no reason to do that now. Can Cleveland go far in the playoffs? I absolutely think Cleveland can go far in the playoffs. Looking at the lineup just as a whole, I think they offer a lot more this year than they have most other years, and maybe even more. They maybe even offer more this year than they did in 2016 when they won the world, or when they almost won the World Series. I think they may offer more there. They've got Jose Ramirez playing at a near 40-40 year. They've got Andres Jimenez playing the best defense in the American League, arguably. Guys like Josh Naylor, David Fry, all putting together great seasons. Emmanuel Clase, obviously, out of the bullpen. And that's kind of my thing with the Guardians that I've said, time and time again. I was on the Bleacher Brothers show last night, and I said it there. You get to Emmanuel Clase, you pretty much win the game. This guy's got nasty stuff, 102-mile-an-hour cutters. He's really just the best closer in baseball. To put it briefly, he's the best closer in baseball. If your rotation can get to him, you'll be pretty successful in the postseason. I think. I think their bats are very underrated. I think a guy like Stephen Kwan, if he's able to be back in at full strength for the postseason, that's a contact bat that you're not really going to be able to get out in the postseason either. I think they're going to have a really, really solid postseason this year. And the way that it looks right now, they'll play the winner of that Houston and Tigers series. I think they'd play really well against either of those teams. I really do. They've got great bats. It's just a matter of that rotation holding up for me. But that's pretty much all I got today in terms of baseball news. One other bit of baseball news coming out of the AL East before we wrap up the show today. But obviously, Nestor Cortez hits the 15-day IL. At that rate, don't know if he'll be back for the division series, but all Yankee fans can do is simply hope. Orioles fans have no hope for Grayson Rodriguez, as he'll be gone from the rotation for the entire postseason. And just another one bites the dust there for the Orioles rotation. But hopefully guys like Zach Eflin and Corbin Burns can step it up even more, because their rotation is taking a hit. But again, that's all I got for you guys today on Back to the Dugout. Another pretty honestly, that show went by pretty quick. I'm not gonna lie to you. Better than last episode. I think we got to like 48 minutes last time, and then I kind of just ran out of stuff there. But a lot more picks today that we were able to give out, so I'm happy that we were able to do that. Go sign up for Rebet if you haven't already. Go tune into Drew Shula's bets, Shula's sharp college football picks for I believe it is week 5. Go check out those because that kid really doesn't miss with his football bets. He's pretty sharp there. Go check out our baseball bets, the rest of our Bleacher Bet stuff, the rest of the Bleacher Brothers crew, Robbie, Christian, Tom, AJ, Joe Q, all those guys. Go check out their stuff. They be putting out great content a lot as well. And for me, written content should be out later today. Bet content should be out later in like probably an hour, I would say. So go tune into that when it comes out. If you're watching the live stream, thank you so much. You're watching the replay. I really appreciate it. If you were looking to tune in on Facebook, I'm sorry, got disconnected from there, but we'll be hopefully having the Facebook back for next show, although not a lot of people seem to care too much about tuning in there. So again, thank you if you're tuned into the live. I'll be back Monday to talk more about, this doubleheader with the Mets and the Braves, the rest of the postseason picture. And I think we'll have another show on Monday later that day to kind of do more postseason predictions, some postseason futures. But we'll get a ton of content out for you guys for the postseason. So for the rest of the Bleacher Brothers crew, I'm Toby Schulman. For Back to the Dugout, I will see you guys next Monday.